from the 31st of March until the 3rd of April, we had the International Students Conference 2021 here, digitally at the Goetheanum with the topic Trust. And in this after movie, we want to share with you the process of what happened during the conference.
In the process of planning the conference, we as the team were shaping the impulses for the day. We wanted to create a path from the first to the last day of the conference by giving small impulses for the participants to think about.
With the open activities, we wanted to give a space for the participants that can be compared to the afternoon activities we had at previous international students conferences, where everyone sat in front of the Goetheanum or was playing volleyball or just having talking rounds. So then the participants could create their own sessions in our digital Goetheanum and be there and hang out there and have this super important time to get to know other students. And we also had conversation groups where we discussed the topic and the things said in the lectures, and also workshops that were more practical. We divided the topic trust in 3 different layers. So we had at first the personal layer, which is about self-consciousness, about trusting yourself and trust in yourself. And we had then the interpersonal layer, which is about the relationship of 2 people or even animals. And then we have the 3rd layer, which is a societal level of trust that can experience in every community. So these 3 layers are not fixed, but are flowing into each other. So they're not with fixed borders. And that is how we divided trust as a topic. So our first conference day started early in the morning with some final preparations of the digital venue, but also the venue here on site. And all that was then finished until 2:30 p.m. That was 1 hour before our stream started, and we met with everyone in the main hall on the stage and discussed what's happening during this day. Then on 3:30 we started the stream, and Vincent and I opened it with a short introduction to the topic. And then everyone of the team introduced themselves, and everyone was talking about all the different formats we have at the conference, and also a little project we prepared, like the letter project, where we sent letters to all the participants so they are physically connected in a way.
The impulse for the day was then presented by Tim, Christella and me. For the first conference day, we asked the participants the question, what does trust mean to you? This was meant to set a base to guide us through the conference, and it also provided a base for Constanza Karlik's lecture, where she talked about the previous themes of the International Students Conferences, and she got to the base of the question if we can learn to trust.
After the lecture, we had our first workshop group, and after that we had a musical performance by B. Ignacio, and she performed on the main stage here.
So, the second day started for us as a team with a special preparation of a little warm-up that ended up being a little chaotic, and we had not enough time to do, the choreography was a little too short, but it was fun, and I hope the participants did the warm-up with us.
Yeah, and after the warm-up, the introduction of the day followed, and after that, the impulse for the day, and this was how is trust built between us, and we tried to understand this, and by thinking about this, we dive deeper into questions like how is trust built between us, or if trust is even built, and how it is built in itself, how does it work, and if you can trust only the people you know, or if you only know the people whom you trust. And we really enjoyed working with these questions and had enough time to reflect about it.
After the impulse for the day, Rodrigo Rovido held his lecture about building trust in communities, and he had a very special and inspiring way to explain how he put the focus on the individual in the community, and just to start with little steps like listening, to then later on build a better connection that is built on trust.
So this lecture was followed by the open activities, and we gave no restrictions about these sessions, and we didn't know if the participants would use this time and interact, but our words were unjustified, and it was a great time and a fun time, and we chilled there online with the people.
After the conversation groups and a little break, we had the evening, kind of presentation. The first presentation was from Ryland Engelhardt. He explained his organization Kiss the Ground and the same named film. After the presentation of Ryland Engelhardt, Elisabeth Weid held a lecture, or more a conversation, with Noelle and me, and she talked about being a radicalist in all different ways and directions.
She just made the relationship of truth and trust, and how to trust in your own perception of the truth. And
so for me personal, standing on stage moderating this conversation, it was a turning point not only in this conference but also for myself and my relation to trust in myself and being myself in critical situations.
yeah, this day was one of the most intense days, and not just enjoyable but also teaching and challenging. It was pretty nice.
On the third day, we recognized a very nice or a positive side of the digitally conference, because we could start fresh and not very sleepy. So we had a nice warm up in the beginning of the day. After the warm up, we had conversation groups, and it followed the impulse of the day.
So for me, it was also nice to start the day physically, since I was joining a yoga workshop from a girl doing it from Berlin. And then I had the chance to introduce the impulse of the day together with Paolo. So Paolo was sitting in the Philippines, I was sitting in Austria, and we brought the impulse for the third day, which was how is trust rebuilt into our society. And that really related to the lecture which was held afterwards by Arisa Nokum. And for the impulse, we wondered how is trust related to hope and faith, and what's the differences between these three terms. So we figured out that a big difference is how when we trust we have to give and receive, and with hope it's more like one way, there's just us being hopeful. And this was also then continued in Arisa's lecture, where she talked about education and trust and hope being,
She started her lecture and shared a story about two very different persons with us, a Muslim woman and a Christian male or Christian man, and how they found together. And it turned out that she was the child of those two people and grew up in a very separated and divided communities in the Philippines, and shared with us how she handled this situation in her community and in herself. With her lecture titled "Books Not Guns: Building Trust Through Peace and Education," she shared with us how she began with children and how they could come together through education, and see some similarities between them. Because in the Philippines there are a group of Muslims and Christians, and they are normally separated from each other, and through education they came together and forgot their different religions and social structures or traditions. For me, the highlight of this lecture was how honestly and how close she is connected with those differences, and how much empathy she showed to those people who are not thinking like she do.
The last day of the conference had the sentence, "How do we regain trust?" We think that we were born with a deep trust, and we asked ourselves and the participants the question, what do we have to change to get back to this deep trust?
Our last speaker was Havin Tho, who closed our topic of trust.
He shared an idea of trust that it can be built on a threefold foundation. The first level is the trust in yourself. He explained that we have to learn to listen to our emotions, to not get overwhelmed by them.
The second layer is about trusting others and the society, and he had a question for us. How do you create this good, trusting, lasting relationship on which you can build your life?
The third level he was talking about is trust in nature and planet. He said that we need to change our perception of the earth because we need to see the earth as a living being and not as a thing.
So Havin Tho really closed this whole theme of trust and of our conference, and after his lecture we reflected on this whole conference, and we also gave space to our participants to share their thoughts about trust and also about the whole online process.
We asked ourselves the question, what does trust mean to you?
I think the word trust for me was always there. I was always somehow thinking about it. But during those last few months, we went quite deep, and also during those last 3 days, I went quite deep and I looked at the questions that we had and the whole theme trust again. And yeah, I realized new things, and yeah, in the end it all came like together.
Trust was a word before, and of course a feeling, but not. I just had also personal progress with it, and I think I began to live it somehow. I didn't thought about it only, but I began to live it, and that was it. Pretty, that was it.
I think trust changed for me that I didn't really think about it as a word. It was more something that I experienced or didn't experience. But I think now after the conference, it will go with me more. I'll have more an awareness of it.
Yes, since this was our first digital conference, we asked ourselves the question, what are the benefits of having a conference digitally?
I think the benefits of the conference being digital was, for example, that people could join all around the world and they didn't need to pay like the flight.
Yeah, it was more affordable for everyone. And also nowadays everything is digital, so if there was if it was normal, I wouldn't even consider the thought of like digital conference. But nowadays, I think it's a big, the advantage of this conference is that people can actually meet, and not via Zoom and through online schooling, but actually meet and speak about interesting topic and just go really deep and enjoy it. And as through the feedbacks that we got, it was very beautiful and very nice that people actually had fun, and they were thanking us that they could have just stepped out of their normal, sometimes nowadays boring lives, and just to be part of something this big and this deep.
Having a digital conference, for me personally, I learned a lot because I'm not such a digital person, so my team was really patient with me. But I think for a next conference, I really hope it's not digital.
We as the team had the chance to be here, and because of that, we experienced the conference very, in another view. So we want to share some highlights, our personal highlights.
Yeah, the personal highlight of the conference. The whole conference was a highlight. I think you can't pick out any specific things. A beautiful moment was when we, as a technical support team, joined the open activities, and we were singing in front of the display with a participant. That was a really, really beautiful moment.
My personal highlight on this conference was that that all the formats we thought of while planning it really turned out to be that they just worked out. That we have had those open activities where they just created their sessions and where they just were sitting in their rooms but chatting with each other and interacting and having their little chat rooms where they were singing and dancing and doing all those things. I think that was the most impressive thing here, and which I really liked seeing.
A highlight for me during the conference was definitely working with the team. I think our team developed really strongly throughout the days, because when everyone came, I didn't know anyone, and it went very fast because we were working on something that was, I think, really, it's something that everyone has in their lives, trust, of course, or doesn't have. And when we were working on this together, we also really got to know each other, or at least that was for me.
I'm really happy that I was part of this team and that I had the chance to organize and manage a digital conference. I think I learned a lot here, and that will change my whole future and show me what I like to do and what I not like to do. And I think the most important learning here, what I learned, is communication.
So, this was a little overview about the conference of our perspective, the organizing team. And now I want to thank everybody that was part of this conference in being a participant or helping in organizing in every little kind of way. And you can find all streams in our archive of the conference, and we hope that we will see you on the next Students' Conference here on site at the Goethe.